Here's another late development, and this news keeps coming in as we're talking here.
Let's go record here. All right, we're live now. Let's just do a quick mic check. Rob, go.
Can you hear me? Good morning.
All right, good. JB.
All right, can you hear me? Good morning, fellas.
All right, Black.
Mic check 1 2 1 2.
All right, good.
Now everybody from the 313. Put your mother.
All right, cool.
My man's out getting this money this morning.
Rob. All right. Well,
Hey Rob, I hear you laughing, but it say your shit muted.
yeah, he's muted.
But I heard him.
Now it's showing mute.
That was JB you heard.
Oh, okay. Now he was laughing just like you, bro.
All right. Welcome. This is going to be, we in a whole new book, man. This is the Miseducation of the Negro. And my name is Heero. I am your host today for the Male Book Club. And what's it beyond? I'll be forgetting the whole name of this stuff. What is the name of this joint?
Books and mail. I don't even know.
Nobody knows. You know what? We made the name of this group. It was too damn long. It's the Books and Beyond Male Book Club.
That ain't long, bro. It's Books and Beyond ain't long, but the male book club part is just
It don't flow
established.
I be
well.
wondering
Like,
where that mail part
Yeah, I
fall
don't
in.
know where
Like,
that mail. It don't flow well. It does not flow well.
It's just a male book club. You don't have to say the male book club.
Nah, okay.
It's just Books and Beyond.
All right. He's the admin. It's his group. It's your rap group. You named it. We'll let you have it. We are joined today by our four horsemen, man. We back to full capacity. We got Rob in the building. We got JB and we got Black. How you guys doing, man? JB, what's good?
what's up, man? Wasted a whole lot of time last weekend, but we ain't gonna get into it.
Ooh, did you go somewhere to get? Did you go watch a baby get christened or something?
Yeah, man. But
Okay, we're not gonna
They
get
could have
into
did that shit. They could have did that shit on Zoom, bro.
Rob, what's
we ain't gonna
good?
get into it.
Rob, can you hear me? What's good?
Oh man, nothing much. Had a good Saturday. Finally got the results, so woke up feeling good today.
And Black
What you
out
mean
here.
results? Your lady pregnant?
Nah. I'm cool on that right now.
Look,
About to
Black
have a
out here,
party over here.
Black over here making money, so I feel like we are entitled to at least 15% of whatever he's making today, because he out here making money on our dime. I'm just
Hey, I was thinking 20.
Oh, see, you got some selfish friends in the group. I'm a reasonable person. Finder's fee.
Y'all want to
Look.
come to bed, Rock?
Chapter 1. Dear God, can I just say that? Why do all these books feel like they was written today?
Bro.
Why do they feel like they was written
Man.
today? Rob, go ahead. This was something that you was interested in. I'm gonna let you take the lead on this. What was the thing that came out to you in this chapter 1?
So in this chapter, and I gotta quote this part of the book. I've read this part of the book at least 30 times. And I'm quoting it. And it says, to handicap a student by teaching him that his blackface is a curse and that his struggle to change his condition is hopeless is the worst sort of lynching. It kills one's aspirations and dooms him to bag of bondage and crime.
The fact that they
Man.
The fact that's a
And
great
they said, look, lynching would have never started on the outside if it didn't start in the school.
classroom.
Mhm.
That right there was, but it was because that concept never occurred to me. I thought lynching was like, but no, that's how lynching starts. Someone had to be. It wasn't like one day somebody woke up and was like, "We're gonna beat this motherfucker ass and then hang him up by his neck." No, like from a young age, they internalized that, and they're like, "If they don't care, why should we care?" That is a great state. That is a great quote. JB, what was it about chapter 1 that kind of struck you?
Man. Man, a lot of stuff, man. He goes from that social bisocial concept forcing you to have to be social and then bisocial at the same time. How the miseducated, educated Negro is basically its own species, like of person, because you don't fit where you were, you don't fit what we was trying to train you to be up. You just this other person, and then we ultimately call you useless because there's no place for you.
That is true. And I want to talk a little bit about that, branch off into it. I want to branch off into the way that we are miseducated, the ways that they talk about it. First, through our educational system, our teachers, the Bible, and this self-fulfilling prophecy that if we are doing something for us, it makes us better than someone else. The comparisons I have is Fubu versus Tommy Hilfiger. Tommy Hilfiger is innately known with being a whites only type product. That's what he said. I design my clothes for white people. Fubu is literally says for us, by us, and how that
Mhm.
in itself is replicating what we are trying to disseminate or trying to separate ourselves from. And that misinformation is true. That isn't true. It's nothing wrong with you wanting for yourself or wanting for your people. Black, was there anything in this chapter that made you say, nah, I'm not going?
As far as what?
So we're talking right now about just the selling of our education and the standards, like the way they use the Bible to corroborate that light is better than dark, and a good slave is a subservient slave, and things of that nature.
Yeah. So as far as that, since we had the book club, I've been talking about that itself. Remember, I told y'all about the movie Purpose Over Prison, where he said people don't go to school to learn; they go to school to memorize. So all you learn to do is memorize what they teach you, right? So you live off of that instead of learning to learn. So basically, they teach you all the bad shit. They don't give you no education on what was before when you were nothing and what's to come. Just like damn, what's the old white lady name that be telling them like that tell people like you don't go
I
to
know,
school to learn.
yeah, I know you're talking about.
The
You
lady that
don't.
make people real comfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love her, but I know her name any other time, but I just forgot her name. But she tell them like they go to school. You go to school just to learn how to be black. It's for black people to learn how to
Is
be,
that Jane
basically
Elliott?
Jane Elliott.
Jane Elliott. Yeah, black people go to learn how to just be fucking the worker. Just the lower class, and white people learn how to go to learn how to be racist.
Do you feel that this introductory chapter dropped a lot on us. It talked about the importance of HBCUs, but the letdowns of HBCUs. Like, I remember we had an early conversation about in the first book we read, The Spook That Sits by the Door, how I went to an HBCU, but you guys didn't. And I talked about how, and I remember, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, JB, you stated that the reason why you didn't want to go to HBCUs because you saw how you saw how they did it. You want to learn how someone else got it. You saw their pattern.
Right.
But now, in retrospect, now looking back to it, like the statement what they made was like, without the HBCUs, we don't even get a chance to decide if we want to go to the other side. Do you have some kickback to that past comment now?
Yeah, so I've even thought about it recently. Like my sister, she goes to Howard now, and like I've thought about like, man, I probably could have went there, but that's from my mom's perspective of telling me like, go this way or go that way, and I didn't really make that decision personally.
So do you, and with all, obviously this was with utmost respect, do you feel that
Yeah,
guidance wasn't
look.
the proper guidance you needed?
No, so that's part of that miseducation from some of the miseducation my parents received, and we've talked about that a million times with my parents, me and my sisters, about just some things that they could have done differently, but things that we'll do differently as we kind of raise our children. Hopefully, get this one to chill out.
Rob,
Be like, don't you see I'm talking on the phone? Like,
kids
That's a
have
patient.
kids,
That's a patient father right
yeah,
there.
kids have no respect. Kids don't want to hear it.
she said, I'm talking to you. Like, don't
I
get
am
you on the
talking.
phone.
Excuse me. I am talking right now.
That's how she interact.
Rob, how do you feel about? I want to bring up the fighting two sides and your own side at the same damn time. So, the educated Negro in this aspect has the responsibility of fighting his own people, crabs in the bucket. They see you coming up, they don't want to see you get there. White people don't think you deserve to be there, and just period, your own mental strife. The three-way fight, how do you minimize the people you're fighting in this situation?
I don't know. I think for me personally, I just um, I don't know. I just feel like we built different as a people. We're built to take on a lot, and we could still strive for the next thing. And I continuously remind myself of that because, to your point, in reality, to this day, it's still that battle. You know, where you battle with all these different realities to achieve a better tomorrow.
And I think Dave Chappelle's SNL opening monologue spoke to that. The
Man,
the coronavirus put white people in a very interesting predicament where they had never had to struggle. For the first time ever in American history,
Hmm.
white people are dying at a faster rate than any other population, not any other population, but their rate of death has now increased between opioid crisis, COVID, obesity. These things are catching up to them. And Dave Chappelle said, open your eyes, start learning, start watching us because y'all never really gave us a hand. We just had to watch y'all and make an anticipation. Black, tell me about this perseverance, this strive. What is it about Black people that put us above, make us give us the ability to survive in these tough situations?
yeah. So what they learned later on after he wrote this book. I don't know if it was due to the book, but a lot of black leaders and pretty much black people period knew that they had to work 10 times harder than white people just to be considered the same as them. Just so it's always been a thing. And plus, since slavery, we've been the hardest workers. So that wasn't a hard thing for slaves to do, to work, just to work hard on the outside. Now because you're getting paid and not beat to do it.
Mm.
And you got to survive now. The survival is on you versus it was on you even then though, because if you didn't work hard enough, they beat your ass to death. So it was just like it was something that was bred in them. They came from working when they was over there. So the ones that they did get from Africa, they came from working already, and the ones that were here already were already working.
Yeah.
It wasn't work wasn't a hard thing. It's just white people that came over here that didn't want to work. They want to put their work off on everybody else.
JB, can you talk a little bit to the disdain that Black people have about selling to Black people? This was something that was brought up briefly in chapter 1, but it's expanded upon in chapter 3. But just real quick, like when you have a business and you don't want to fill your business with people that look like you, what is the side effect of that?
Man, I think it's like I mean, it makes it really hard for those businesses to succeed. Personally, I've been in those situations where I'm trying to sell to people that look like me, and it goes back to kind of what Black look like. Like I have to be twice as good to sell to my own people, and I got to be twice as good to sell to people that don't look like me. And I'm already starting with a less financial backing or whatever it is in the opportunity that I'm going into. But to go back to kind of what Black was talking about, like um, a lot of this stuff that they done so much to keep us down has ultimately started to work into some of those gifts that we've started to develop over time. Like you think about breeding us and the athletes that we've become at this point, and keeping us down a certain way and making us having to work hard. A lot of white people don't even know what hustle is.
Mm.
And it's just something that's ingrained into a lot of us, like naturally, because that's what we got to do to survive. So I don't know if I read it in a book somewhere. I was thinking about it, like you project where you headed at one point. Like if we ever get our hands onto the financial capital and the structure that we need, and we start buying from each other to what we talking about, and developing it, and developing each other's businesses and things, like it becomes scary. My dad asked me one time, why do white people hate us so much? Like it becomes scary what we could become,
We
So
are a terrifying
Hey,
group of people.
another thing that I forgot to mention about chapter 1 was I knew who Carter G. Woodson was before I got this book, and it didn't dawn on me until I started. I read the beginning of the book because I posted like last year or the year before that where Black History Month came from. It came from him. It used to be like it was either a
week,
weekend that
right?
he had it.
It was
Yeah, it was a
week.
It was a week that he had it, and then they expanded it afterwards. But it came from him. It was Black History Weekend where he did a thing where he was teaching people about actual Black history outside of just the bullshit.
That's
so
interesting.
I forgot to mention that when we first started. I said I was gonna say that.
It's funny
That's
how
my boy.
Black History Month was created by this dude, and I never heard of him.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like I posted it like either last year or the year before that, but I posted that shit because people always complain about where Black history came from. Like, just the month. Like, yes, the shortest month of the year. It wasn't even it was just a week at first. It was just this man decided I'm gonna do this for my Black people, and then it became a month. So like, and that wasn't that long ago. He did this shit in 1920 something?
19. It was the 30s, right? 20s or the 30s.
Yeah, it was early 1900s. So it was not that long that we even had something like that. So if they want to make it longer later on, do it on your own accord. You don't have to wait for nobody to ordain.
Yeah,
that
whole
it's time
saying,
for you to learn about yourself.
Yeah, that whole saying that we this is the only month y'all can talk about Black history. Nah, fuck you. It's 365.
Yeah, you can learn about it whenever you feel like it. Getting off your ass.
One thing I wanted to ask y'all, like, do y'all remember when y'all was in like grammar school learning about slavery? Like, what was some of the feelings that y'all was thinking at that time? Like, do y'all remember how it was even taught?
I
felt like it was brushed over so quickly. Like, it was brushed over and went straight into Civil War.
I went to a Black school. Did you go to a Black school as a kid?
No.
So that's why yours was brushed over. They talked about it a lot, but even back then and even in high school, I said to my teacher, nowhere, like, cause when they come up with the inventions or where everything that was created and they got all these white people, I'm like, you think these white people created this stuff?
Really created this
to make Black people life easier?
To make us
niggas created everything, and then later on in life, I learned that Black people wasn't able to even fucking
get patents.
Couldn't patent
get patents and all of that.
Jack Daniels alcohol, like literally made by a Black person. They just now paying
the Cotton
respect.
Gin by Eli Whitney.
Yeah.
It's love to say
Street
Eli Whitney.
Pretty much everything that was ever made was invented by Black people, bro.
Because we just got tired of doing shit easy. Like, we need to figure out an easy way to do it. So I have an interesting perspective in that. Well, one, I didn't go to American schools. I was born overseas, and when I came back to America, this was a shocking epidemic for a teacher. I had a parent-teacher conference meeting with the teacher and my parents same day. She was so ecstatic. Basically, I came back to the U.S. when I was 15. But prior to this, I lived in Africa where slavery wasn't an identity. I didn't know who Martin Luther King was.
You didn't live in South Africa, right?
Yeah, they didn't teach us these things in these African schools. They taught us about our African warriors and princesses who invented technology in Africa. That's what I learned about. So when I got here and I learned about it, I remember the day. We all had to go into the hallway, hold hands, and I Have a Dream speech started playing. And they would go down one by one to each Black person and say, what do you think about Martin Luther King? And when they asked me, what do you think about Martin Luther King? I said, I don't know who he is. And they literally pulled me out of the line, brought me into the class. And my dad 100% grade A Nigerian goat beef. You guys hear this shit. He said, why would my son know anything about slavery? His people weren't brought here on a boat. We flew here first class. The people we learned about, my dad did not play around. The people we learned about were kings, queens, chiefs, and ogas, leaders of land, owners of bodies of water. Why would we know anything about slaves? And the teacher was so held back. She was like, but how is he going to conform and learn about the culture? And he says, he doesn't need to. And it was right then and there that it dawned on me. I was like, no, my Black people here have experienced a different type of life. And that's when I started to become intrigued with the culture. So that's a great question, JB. I went on a rant, but it's something that didn't occur to me.
over there you learned about education, right? That the first everything was created in Africa.
The
First
first
school,
how
first
they, yeah,
college,
how we
Mathematics,
jump,
right?
the,
mathematics, all of that.
everything, bro. Everything education wise was made over there, bro.
The
Remember
first,
beforehand, they went around and taught white people how to not live in the same place as they damn animals. So
exactly,
everything like to how to be civilized people.
like
Period. Like
animals did.
everything as far as
Animals
knowledge
didn't.
wise, astrology,
Animals don't live in
everything
a house in Africa. That's not a thing. Animals
at
We the
all.
first
live
ones
Nope.
to
separate.
What they'll
train.
like
Yeah.
in the South too. That's like that in the South.
Yeah,
Dogs live outside,
I don't care how small it is.
and
If it
dogs are
ain't,
not pets. They shepherds and shit.
yeah.
They don't really. They are really pets. They all got jobs.
So that's a great segue. But chapter, do you want to push to chapter 2, or do we have something for chapter 1? So
I think we
chapter
wrapped
2,
up. Yeah.
We got something for all these chapters.
yeah, real talk. So chapter 2 kind of dives into
We need
money,
2
right?
hours. Man.
Rob, as a resident expert in money, what was your feelings in chapter 2?
The part of chapter 2 that hit home for me, and I'm just quickly shifting to my notes, is when Woodson spoke about how the emancipation freed the Negro people, but at that point we were still economically enslaved,
Mm-hmm.
and the Caucasians took advantage of that.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's why unions were created to keep black people from working.
And JB, do you feel like this mental hurdle? I mean, besides the fact of Jim Crow, segregation, and things like this, what was, and just white people in general? That's the answer. But was there anything that black people could have done differently, with hindsight being 2020? Is there anything we could have done differently to help boost ourselves out of this economic crisis?
That they didn't do.
No, I think we tried it all. I think that, on the other side, you got this powerful force that's just working against you, trying to keep you down. And if they got so much, they got all the power at that point, it's just hard to work through. And it's part of I think in chapter 2, you say the conditions of today are a direct effect of what's taking place in the past. And that's kind of to what I was talking about in that standpoint. It's like, we keep fighting against this force. Like eventually, when we do break through, good luck. And that's really how I look at it. But it has been this powerful force that we've continued to fight against. That has separated us to a point where we don't work together and we don't look at each other certain ways and things like that. I was telling one of my boys recently, like, I remember when I first went to school and my mom didn't let me come back because a couple of people I knew had got killed. So she didn't let me come back for the whole year. And I remember coming back that first summer and I could barely, I felt like a fish out of water, just being gone for a year, and I could relate to that first chapter and going into this chapter where you when you become that educated Negro and you get so far attached, like you go back and you how do I fit in? So it's like a conscious thing to make sure that I'm always attached and always tapped in some way.
Like, if we want to talk about education, there was this battle between the North and the South education. There was a classical and a functional type of education. The classical was clearly the arithmetics, the mathematics, the Pythagorean theorems, the duly noted lectures, while the functional was sort of in line with what you're doing now. It's a functional job that you use your hands and you use your body to get the job done. Do you feel that this tear between for the black man was a tough decision? What do you think would have benefited us more? Because there is a give and take for both sides, but being a person who works with your hands, what side back then would you have picked?
Oh man, you kind of put me on the spot. I'm really working with my hands. I work with a couple of my fingers, bro. This is a lazy job for a human being.
Black, okay, can I just say real quick how I just danced this dude up? I just made him look so fucking official, and he just
I know, right? I'm gonna be honest with
all that shit down.
Hey,
I really just try to sell my man's, and he put himself back on the ground floor. But okay,
my mother and father are both carpenters. That's where the real work goes in, and the labor work. I never like to try to pretend that my job is super complicated because it's dangerous. for the people on the outside of the equipment, if there's an idiot on the inside. But everything that they knew, black people knew how to work with their hands. Like we were just saying that they already knew everything. That's why they created the unions, because the best workers were the people who've been doing it forever. So for the untrained and unskilled white people, they had to create a union. Like, okay, y'all only can work with unions. That's how the unions work. So now that black people can get into unions, that's the reason they want to have right to work, to prevent, like, paying people of every race the same amount they pay for other people that do the job. So I rather like for black people back then, it wasn't nothing we could do because everything was written up so that we couldn't. So it was either leave and move on and get your own area and do it that way, or create your own. Or like, man, it wasn't much that we could do.
But Rob, let's speak to a little bit about the poor white man and their complicated relationship with black people, because it talks a little bit about how the poor white people started to realize, like, hey, you're treating us like black people, and black people just was like, bro, why can't you just help us help you get to a better place? What was the duality of that situation for you?
I feel like even in today's times, I find that pretty ironic, right? And we had a conversation about this at my job recently, where as a society, we are so fast to find things that make us different instead of looking at the things we have in common and coming together and say, you know what? Look, we both oppressed, right? Instead of you fighting this battle over here and me on 2 blocks down fighting this battle, let's both agree to meet in the middle and let's both fight this battle as a collective unit. And I don't know, then and still to today, we just can't do that.
Do you feel
no? It can't. It's possible.
Hey.
It's just they want to feel superior. That's the whole thing for the white lower class. They want to feel superior. Like, remember, the slave quarters and the people that was whipping them were the exact fucking same. They were living the same, bro. It wasn't like they were living a lot better, but they got to whip the niggas that they got to whip the other motherfuckers. So now they feel better.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you think about like a majority of Trump supporters is people from those, the poor white neighborhoods or the
like none of the policies
the smaller towns
affect them in a greater way than they affect us. Other
It
than they
don't really help them at all. It's like, they sitting back talking about these taxes Biden about to bring. Like, bro, this don't have nothing to do.
Hey, y'all seen that meme where it'd be like the pillow? If your pillow look like this, I'm gonna put a picture up right now. If your pillow look like this, don't worry about it. If your ceiling looks like this, don't worry about it. If your tire treads look like this, don't worry about them taxes, bro. You good. You all the way good.
Yeah, man. So I've always kind of had that argument with my brother. Like, there's definitely a racial divide, but then there's a monetary one that's a little bit above that. Like,
100%.
You got the elite white people. They don't give a damn what color you are. Like, you ain't got a certain amount of money, you don't fit in here.
Yeah,
like, and that's that. Then
like Dave
once you
Chappelle
get
said, he
that
called
certain
a
amount of
low
money,
class
if you black,
trash.
you still don't fit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And that kind of takes us to the hood rich phenomenon, which was kind of born in this year. Where you as a black person you've acquired this certain level of knowledge that's giving you a gateway into it, but you just look like you belong, but you don't really have the bank account to do it, so you're stunting. This book gave me the invention of stunning and hood rich, because you have this aura where you're walking amongst these people. But they talk about this in the next chapter, where you making $15 an hour and you're not living your best life, but you walking with these people. So the duality is sort of like, oh, I'm good. And now your people looking at you like, well, hook us up. And it's like, well, what had happened was I can't help you. So
ain't that good.
It ain't that good. Exactly. So it's like this North education, but
what's the name mentioned it yesterday too? Dave Chappelle, when he's talking about the white trash. Or I don't know if that was yesterday, because I watch Dave a lot. But he was talking about how rich white folks, they call the poor white folks trash.
Yeah,
they do.
And
they still feel superior than us. and they feel like
Like,
that's
I'm
my
gonna
group
make
of
you
people, even
trash.
though fucking yeah, they look at us as trash, and they look at us just as bad as they look at them, but they feel like they with them in the
And
fight.
Black touched on this, the skill, the art of learning a skill versus being taught a skill. Um, there's one thing for you to read it in the book. I can hit back Pythagorean's theorem all the way down to the cell's relative motion of physicists and all of those things. I can etch that back out to you. But if you told me to design an engine that could emulate that, I couldn't do it. So what is the benefit of having mental, like a mental knowledge of something versus a physical knowledge of something? If you can build a car, what's one's better, building your own car or buying one off the lot? And that's the question I pose to you guys based on your status. If you had the knowledge to build your dream car and you had all the resources, would you build it or just go
So
buy
you
it
have
off
to
the
add
lot?
that.
It depends. It depends on what phase of my life I'm in, and what I mean by that
No, no,
is
that's why he
so
added the resources. So if you
You got
got
the
all the
resources.
resources, you already in the phase that you can do it.
Yeah.
no, it's still, even still, right? And I say that because let's say, so my great grandmother used to tell us all the time. She was like, in life, you're going to have one or two things, and you're rarely going to have them at the same time. It's going to be time or money, right? And you said there's the resources, but am I retired, and do I have the time to do that? If so, I'm building it myself.
I mean,
I
But
think
it
it comes
depends on
down
how
to the
fast
time
you
for
need
me.
it too, though. So if you don't need it tomorrow,
Exactly.
so you can take your time. So let's just say we got the time, we got expanded amount of time. Would you do it yourself or buy it? You know what I mean?
I'm doing it
That's
myself
basically
for
the question.
sure.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
doing it myself for sure if I got the time to do it.
But the basic thing was how that, like in the book, they were talking about how people going to school and learning and knowing what they're supposed to do, but it don't mean shit when they're not giving you the proper stuff to learn it on. Like, let's say you learn like how to use a piece of equipment that was made in the 60s. Well, today's time we have different controls. It's hydraulic instead of mechanical. So the operations are different. Now, I was, lucky enough to know equipment wise, I can operate mechanical, hydraulic, any piece of equipment you put in front of me, I can operate because of the Marine Corps. So I've learned how to use everything except, except for a crane, which probably gonna take me a couple hours to learn how to use. But learning how to use something, properly using it, is different too.
Yeah.
Because you're looking in that book and you're like, man, that's how you do it.
JB.
I think about all this having formerly, as slaves, grew up on farms, knowing how to, work the land, raise cattle, and all that other stuff. Like there's very few black people that I know how to do that. I'm sure there's a
Yeah.
lot that know how to do it still in the South, but we live in Illinois. I live in Central Illinois right now. All the
I would,
farmland there's not one black person I know that owns any of this farmland. And
and
if I
that's
owned
like,
it, I wouldn't know what the hell to do with it. And
and,
that's,
and you know,
we all moved into the cities to build the cities. And now,
yeah.
it's time to move back out to the farmland to take care of yourself. We don't know how. We scared to move to the farm, actually.
So with that, like, it's people in the city that do that. Like, I know the people in the South Shore area that got their farm, and when I was living in the Woodline, they got the crop areas for the neighborhood. So it's plenty of neighborhoods that still do it. Even in my new neighborhood where I'm living now, I just haven't met that part, that whatever part that does it. So I can go over there and do it with them. But they do it throughout the city, and it's like once a month or twice a month where they sell the crop that they grow themselves, and then you can have input and learn how to do it with them and everything. So it's being done in the city. A lot of the folks are older folks or like more community driven people. Well, it's happening. I know it didn't happen in the suburbs at all, and I didn't know about it when I was younger in the project, but I learned about it as an adult. And like I've seen some of it as a kid, because we did, like, if you go down 41st State and you see that school, on the side of that school, we put all those trees in, but we also put other stuff in with the school. So we did it as kids, and that's why I said the black school is different from going to a school that's not all black. Like, all the teachers were black, everybody that was black. There was very few white people. So you get a different experience when it comes to that. So they got your interest at heart, because a lot of the teachers were living right there next door in the projects with my godmother,
Mm-hmm.
fake aunties and stuff like that was working at the school. The security guard was my godfather. So when I was getting in trouble at school, that I get my ass whooping there, and then I get sent home to get my ass whooped.
They talked about that dynamic in the book too. You know, growing up with the black teachers versus the white teachers. I had black teachers for 1 year of school, and then going into we moved into the suburbs. My parents want to give us quote unquote the better life, and I could tell right away the difference. And I'm only in kindergarten, so I could tell the difference right away between
You
my
started since
teachers and how they handled
kindergarten.
me and dealt with me. Yeah, man.
That's
And so, and I'll ask you this real quick then, JB. Was this a positive change?
Yep.
No.
No.
Oh, you feel it wasn't?
And this the book
Second
speaks
that.
to
Going
this.
into the
Is
suburbs?
yeah,
You do
I
it's
too?
Going
second
into the
that.
suburbs?
And I'll tell you why after
Bro,
JB.
so hold
All
on.
right.
I could tell you exactly why. So when I got to Calumet City, I was already ahead of where the kids were. And then when
Yep.
I got there,
Yeah.
they wouldn't even let me go to first grade. So I was supposed to go to first grade, and they held me back to kindergarten again and made me do it
Okay.
again. And but instead of moving me into first grade, what they would do was I would take math, reading, uh, and whatever other courses, English, whatever, I would take them with the first graders and then go back to my kindergarten, opposed to just moving me forward.
go ahead,
Go ahead,
Rob.
Rob, because I'm after you.
So, so for me, my mom moved us from the South Shore area all the way out to Harvey. And my freshman year of high school, I went to Thornton, right? And my mom had to tell little JB's parents, I got to give y'all a better opportunity or at least a fighting chance, right? So I go to Harvey, and Thornton was wild, right? It was fun. And I want to say after my sophomore year, mom was like, hell no. I'm transferring you out of Harvard. You got to get out of here, right? And I went to TF North. And in my honest opinion, I felt like the education at Thornton, even though it was a wild school, was way better than TF North. To the point where I got to TF North and I started messing around.
So
And
All right, for
I
me,
think that's mainly due to at Thornton, there was all my teachers were black. The best teacher I've ever had in my life was Mr. Streeter. He's an English teacher at Thornton. I'm not sure if he's still there, but he really instilled hope in us.
yeah.
Like, you don't got to fall victim to this. And I feel like
Now,
not everyone does that.
So I can speak
outside of the
directly to
education
that.
portion, what I'm saying to Jeremiah, I'm gonna got a question for Jeremiah. Then I'm gonna tell you about the difference for me.
Yeah.
Did you know Mr. Booth?
yeah.
Yeah.
He was the counselor at North, and he's my Facebook friend now, so I was talking to him because I looked up to Mr. Booth because he was the only black man really out there. Like everybody else, it wasn't that many black teachers out there. So I was saying, like, for the fact that he had somebody in his position and he gave it up on it, that kind of annoyed the fuck out of me when I got there. But for me, education-wise, I thought it was better out there because the attention that the other students paid to these white teachers versus the attention that they paid to the black teachers while I was in the city. They were way more disrespectful to the black teachers. Like, school was my thing growing up, so it wasn't shit for me. But to get out there and to see that these other black kids are trying to learn because of who was teaching, it annoyed me, but I appreciated that the fact I wasn't just the absolute smartest motherfucker in the class versus it's other people that's close to me. Because when I out in the city, bro, I went to like 10 different grammar schools, bro, and not a damn soul in that bitch was touching me, education wise. And even the principals and shit used to try to beg my father to get me to stay because of the test scores dramatically changed after I left. I had one hood friend that was testing like I was testing when I was going to FIS, and he was one of the baddest motherfuckers ever. But
we got a celebrity in the house.
okay, don't
Oh,
What up, gang?
we got a celebrity in the house.
But to this day, this one dude right there I'm talking about that's as smart as me, like he was right there with me, bro. This motherfucker is in the streets, bro, not doing a damn thing. I feel like if he'd have moved out there instead of me, he would have did it a lot better in life because he got shot like 50 cent amount of time. He walked funny now, but he did not give up on the street shit even after that. Like, motherfucker stood over him, shot him in the head.
So just so we're making like clear notice of this, we're saying that having black representation of teachers in these schools weren't always the best things for us because
it can be the best thing and it can't be depending on the student,
depending
and the
on your
quality of house
situation and the quality. Go ahead, JB.
Yeah.
You're mute. Go ahead. Still can't hear you.
I don't know what's going on with your mic, bro. You
Yeah.
wasn't muted, but your mouth, and you ain't saying shit.
Well,
No sound.
then we'll fill in Domati.
Looked like he was about to make a good ass point too. He was like,
Y'all heard me laugh?
Okay, we
You
can't.
always do, bro.
All right, so Black, to your point, that's a dual dynamic. So like when we moved out to the suburbs, like we moved out there so that we could have a better opportunity at education because of the environment we grew up in. But there's a difference between, and they talk about it in the book, a teacher that actually has your vested interest versus a teacher that's just trying to teach you curriculum.
Yeah.
Because some of the teachers that we came across, like they could pick out, like for instance, us that's a little bit more gifted, like, all right, we need to spend a little bit more time with them, you know, basically not in the curriculum, but, you know, talking to them this way. Like I had a teacher pull me out of the classroom and say like, hey man, you messing up and this is why, and like literally talk to me that way. But that's 1 out of 20 teachers that I encounter.
And I'll say this, Domati can speak to this point too, because me and him were pulled into I remember when we went to U of I to this physics program where we had to go build bridges out of popsicle sticks, and we was in there with do-rags, sagging pants, and didn't give a damn, and there was all these collared up kids, and we literally put our stuff together, and it was the only one that withstood the magnitude 10 earthquake. Our structure stood, and everyone asked how, instead of just saying congratulations.
Facts.
You know, so if you want to speak a little bit to that, were there any impactful Black teachers or Black teachers that kind of that swayed you or skewed you a little bit in your time of development?
I got lucky because I went to Beasley before I came to Calumet City, and
Beasley was the shit, bro.
Beasley was a great school. I was actually just talking to everybody from Beasley, even the niggas that still street niggas that went to Beasley is all doing well. Like, you know, whether they went off to go get PhD.
So you know my brother, so he ain't doing that well.
Oh damn. Well shit. Your brothers get money. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Some of them.
Some of them.
You know, it's like 30 of us.
Oh, true. But yeah, it was like it was just and like why I love the Miseducation of the Negro, it was a confidence that Beasley students had because you had to say, you didn't just sing you sang the Black National Anthem when you went in there. If you walked down the hallway along the lines, it wasn't just Martin Luther King on the wall. It was Garrett A. Morgan on the wall, W.E.B. Du Bois. It was Toni Morrison on the wall in the hallways. All of the teachers were PhDs. It was Dr. Green, Dr. Ray Radford. It was like everybody was doctors, but they were teaching like first grade, second grade. They were administrators. So there was like this, we got to just see that. And so when I moved to Calumet City, like I feel like a lot of the reason I got into like trouble I got into in Cal City, like I was from the city, but I was active, but I'm like 11 years old. And I hung with the gangsters, but I was one of those kids that they were smart and they were like, yo, you know, go in the house, stay out of trouble. I feel like I didn't have Lincoln was easy as hell. TF North was easy. It wasn't until about junior year when I started learning things that I hadn't learned at Beasley already, honestly. And that was just because I ended up in the honors classes. So I know I'm just coming in on a conversation, so I hope I'm even on target. But I think a lot of the maturation, like the things that I go back to that I become interested in now came from elementary school because my elementary school was pro-Black. 100%, more so than what we learned. It was that we learned that we were smart.
And that's the reason I'm holding off on putting my daughter in private school, because her school, Woodline, is super Black. They still do the Black National Anthem. They don't do the white one at all, bro. Everything they do there is super Black. Like every fucking thing, bro. I would love. I'm gonna show y'all one of these days some of the stuff they do for the kids and the things that they talk to the teachers. Because they don't call them like Mrs. or Doctor, even though there's a lot of doctors up there. They call them Mama and shit like that. Mama, like Mama Walker and stuff like that, bro. It's just a good ass school, bro. So that's what's making me hold off on putting her in private school, because she is a fucking little me. She is very smart. She get all A's. But like me in school, I get done before everybody else. even as a kid in those good schools. And then it was just so I'm getting in trouble from that point on because I ain't got shit else to do. And that's what happened with her from time to time.
So
Like she talks too much, she don't listen because she's bored. She needs to be moved up.
So I'll put it like this then. Look,
And-
we'll push you into the. Go ahead.
Okay, before we leave the education part, I was talking about how the difference between the students too. Like Rob is smart as shit, but me and Rob talked about this a couple years ago. How teachers would tell certain students that they wouldn't be shit, and I was telling them I've never experienced that. Like I've never had a teacher ever tell me that I wouldn't be nothing. Regardless, and it'd be some of the same teachers that tell other kids they weren't gonna be shit. But I've never had that. All the teachers that I've ever had, even the ones that didn't like me, still knew that they never said that to me, and that's a big difference too, because some of these people don't want to get to know everybody in the class. Like Jeremiah was saying, like they know the other kids that they think is smart or whatnot, and they avoid the ones that are not. Some teachers.
You know what happened a lot in Lincoln though? I had the opposite though. I felt like all of the bad kids got mad attention, and like if they felt like you were straight. They did, and I get it. I get why teachers do that. You know, they feel like they think certain students need more attention. But I felt like I got overlooked because I got everything. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Hey, quickly, go for it. Then I'll add my perspective.
To your point, though, Matty, it's this self-fulfilling prophecy. You're good. You're always going to be good, and you're either good because of someone else, so I don't have to worry about you type attitude.
Yeah.
Like someone else is looking out for you, so I don't have to look out for you. And that's a negative way to approach children because you miss keynote details. There's a reason why, teachers are taught how to find sexual assault markings, because just because a kid is well dressed and properly dressed doesn't mean that there's hidden underneath there. Rob, to your point, what were you saying?
No, I was going to say, I remember back when I was in, I think her name was Miss Horak's class, math teacher at TF North. One day she pulled me to the side and she was like, I see a lot of potential in you, but I often see you falling into trouble, right? And she was like, what's your plan after high school? And I told her, I was like, I'm trying to get a job, right? She was like, you ain't thinking about college? I'm like, no, man, I got to get paid. And she basically said at that point, she was like, as one of my students, the one thing you do that not a lot of people do, you raise your hand and you correct me a lot, not in a disrespectful way, right? And she threw out the possibility or the idea. She was like, you should think about going into accounting, right? She planted the seed, and I didn't know what accounting was. And look at me today, I'm an accountant. And when I became a professional, I reached out to her, sent the longest email I've ever written in my life, and sent the flowers and everything. I was like, you planted something that really grew in my mind.
So me and Jeremiah had Miss Horak for honors. What was that? Like algebra 2 or some shit?
Oh, your ass was disrespectful.
But I corrected every math teacher I've ever had multiple times. Like that's why I missed that.
Teach the class, he'd be like, "Yep."
Yeah, man, I would teach the class, bro, and they would get some people would get it way better. And Miss Stat hated that. Miss Stat split me and Mac up because I had an honors class, bro, and I used to correct her, and she was like, "You want to teach the class, your mom?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!" I'm like, "Yeah, I get up there and teach the class, and I'll teach their ass." But they all like me, bro. To this day, like if I go up there and I talk to Miss Smith, that was my favorite teacher, chemistry teacher, because I didn't do no work in her class. Because she told us at the beginning of the class, like only thing that's really gonna matter is your test. So fucking with Miss Smith, I didn't do no work, no in-class assignments. I only took the test, and I still left that bitch with either a B or a high C. And the next year, I walked in her class, like at one of her, when they do the introductory report, like when they're talking about themselves, and she was talking about me to her class. She was like a lot of y'all guys are gonna need a lot of help. She's like, everybody won't be a Jamal. She didn't see me standing there. She was like, everybody won't be a Jamal. She's like, I had a student named Jamal that didn't do nothing but take the test. Everybody's not going to catch on, stuff like that. And she just picking me up, bro. And I walk in, I'm like, hey, Miss Smith. And she was so happy to like, oh, this is Jamal right here. Miss Smith loved me. I still talk to her and Miss Stat on a regular basis, and we email each other. Miss Smith is a Republican, but she's one of those that low income Republicans that think that they should be Republicans when they don't benefit them.
They
But I
don't
love
benefit
her, bro.
from being Republican. So
Not
I'm
at
gonna
all.
skip over 2 parts in chapter 3, but just put it out there. The 2-tier justice system is brought up here, and I'm also going to bring up the cognitive dissonance that goes with disease. When Black people have diseases that we weren't prepared to take off. STDs were new to Black people. When we came to, it was when we were brought here that we were introduced to STDs, and then they propagated and spread out of control. The comparisons of yellow fever versus AIDS. When yellow fever was sweeping the country, it was a tearful event and people were sad and they had to find a cure. When AIDS was sweeping the Black community, it's the way they are. It's something that Black people just have. So those were just 2 note things. We'll go to chapter 4 because we're pushing on that hour. Chapter 4 was a little bit of a bring up about not even like presentation of education, but just the religion is just a tool was something that kind of stuck out to me a lot here. Real quick, JB, was there anything about chapter 4 that stuck out to you?
Religion was just a tool. I actually pushed into, you got me going into it might be chapter 6 where you're talking about the importance of the religion, but no, I can't remember chapter 4 too well.
Chapter 4 was sort of like a blur, and it was sort of like it was a joint chapter between chapter 3 and chapter 5.
Wait, we're talking about Miseducation, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
I thought
10 book reading ass.
You said what?
I said your 10 book reading ass. We talking about
I just left out to go get my Kindle. Like, hold on, where this book at? Let me see. All right.
Rob, did you have anything?
Yeah, I thought chapter 4 was the chapter where Woodson was painting this picture of education as a tool that really depends on the workman or work woman who uses it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely want to speak to more to that, but I was just talking about the thing that kind of hit me first or hit me the strongest, which was that. But if you want to speak on the education as a tool, go ahead.
No, I think when I was reading through that passage of the chapter, it really had me thinking back to a lot of people. So when I was in school, I worked at a grocery chain, Save-A-Lot. And there was a lot of people that I worked with who had degrees who were working minimum wage jobs. And it's like,
right.
Damn, you went and spent all this money, a lot of them in debt, right? And you pursued something that didn't have a demand. So that tool that you want to get is not useful.
Yeah. And we talk about that a lot though, Rob. Me and you talk about, like, me and Rob and Mac and Demedi, most time I call and we talk about that a lot. Like, as far as when going to school for Black people, they always go to school for what they think is going to benefit them, but they never fully go on. Like, it's a million motherfuckers that went to high school that went to school for criminal justice, but that's where they stopped. Yep. They didn't pick what part of it, where they wanted to go. They want to be cops, they want to be lawyers, anything. They just wanted to go to school for criminal justice. Then they were like, all right, fuck it, let me go work at LA Fitness.
So, and then I'll throw you this question, Domati. As someone who has a couple of degrees, yeah, LA Fitness. I was smooth working out at LA Fitness over Thanksgiving. I ran into somebody from TLR and like, "Oh, what's good?" He was like, "Yeah, man, how you doing?" I was like, "I'm doing good. What you doing here?" "Oh, I work here." I said, "Oh, I work out here."
But they super pretend like they're fitness trainers. Like they went to school for that.
Right.
They like, so what I'm trying to do is build my clientele. Like, nigga, you went to school to learn shit that you wasn't gonna use. Just man up. But that's the thing about Black people though. We don't push our kids to jobs like Asians. Asians choose their kids' jobs before they fucking born.
And Mexicans too. I know they get forced into
the Jewish community
because they might not have citizenship and stuff like that.
So, but then let's talk about that real quick, Domati. To the point.
Yeah.
What is the importance of this situation, this dynamic? Now, we have this situation where your mom ran this laundry store for 30 years.
Right.
And then you went to school to go become a chemistry major and didn't develop no new soap, no new detergent, no new nothing to bring her. What is the downfall there? What's the dissonance there? Speak on that.
Yo, it's this passage I highlighted. It's right at the end of chapter 4, right before 5. And it says I'm reading real quick. It says, in education itself, the situation is the same. He said, Columbia nor Chicago can give an advanced degree in Negro rural education, for their work in education is based primarily upon what they know of the educational needs of whites. Basically, he says, we offer no argument against advanced degrees, but these should come as honors, not to enable a man to increase his salary or find a better paying position. Basically, you know, it's an honor to get an advanced degree, but you really learning a white man's system, you're not about to help yourself in real life. And so like, we look at this prestige of getting this chemistry degree, like the person went 30 years to do this laundromat to be able to raise a daughter who could become a chemist just so she could work for somebody else. Like, and have the prestige of being that person. We got to break out of, even people were coming at Obama about this because during his presidency, he didn't invest in HBCUs. And he was saying, and he kept saying, you know, pushing higher education, which is valid. Like, I want my kids to go into higher education. But I also had to reframe my thinking because, as you know, Heero, you know, the families we come from, it's all about higher education to the point where I forget that my best friend is a mailman, already bought a house before I did. You understand? So like, he worked for the Postal Service. He got good benefits, doing his shit, but that job was quote unquote looked down upon because it's more blue collar. I got homies who's truckers, who check in the bag, you know what I'm saying, more than I'm just now in maybe the past 3 years, you know what I'm saying, getting to the point where my salary matches my quote unquote degree. And my degree is in economics. I ain't doing that shit. So it's like, so I don't even know if that answers your question, but it's like, you know, I be having to stop myself because I be going on tangents. I'm just so happy to be having this conversation with like real niggas on this call.
Yo,
so, I got so much I want to say. So you know,
you can talk. We talk on this motherfucker, bro. I up y'all every chance I get. Like when I talk to anybody, I up Rob, Mac, fucking Jeremiah, Heero, and you on a regular basis, bro. It's like I feel like I should get a side payment for telling people how great.
I've already said, like you already know.
I tell people how great my friends are on a regular basis. Even my hood niggas, I tell them how great they are.
Somebody already hit me up on Apple Podcast talking about, oh, I saw your Books and Beyond podcast. Wanting to know if you want to do the sponsorship with some watches. I was like, oh shit, we was on some just having black man conversation. And then Rob, I posted up, I had the video hasn't gone live, but it goes live next week with the attachment to it. And IG was already hitting me up talking about, oh, this has promotional content in it. So they already peeped that I was putting some promotional stuff in the video. And I was just like, look, I got to talk to these cats. This isn't something they agreed to. This the only reason why I'm here is because I get to make a video out of this. If I didn't get to make a video, fuck y'all and these goddamn I'm just going to keep it real.
Hey, Rob, talking about that, what are you wearing today? Are you wearing something today?
Oh, hey, another brand based out of Chicago. No pressure.
All right, so
that's hard.
You're going to send me that link and it'll be in the comment section below. You guys know where it is. I'm going to jump over to chapter 5 because, like I said, I don't want to keep y'all tied up. I don't know what y'all. I know JB out here looking at the clock like when the Bears play, so I'm not trying to.
They on right now, man. Don't worry about it, man.
Oh, okay.
They ain't gonna do nothing but disappoint me all day.
3 weeks ago, this man was the proudest Bear fans ever. How quickly we fall.
Hey, see, he got the jersey on. They'll make him not proud because
they'll make me not proud. I'm still wear my jersey, man, but I might just have a bad afternoon.
The day we come on this podcast and he doesn't have that shirt on, we all got to have a moment. We got to have an intervention with JB.
Hey, whose jersey are you wearing? Like, okay, as far as the Bears, you see the Bears disown. Okay, you see they disown Urlacher goof ass a while back.
I ain't never liked him ever.
And when you go bald and get hair back like that, I can't trust you. I'm sorry. It's just not fathomable for me. It's not acceptable. You guys want to push to chapter 5 or?
I don't think we should move to 5 and we should do 5 next week. That way, we've been on here for an hour because we about to talk more about everything else.
Yeah,
in these other chapters.
All right. So,
Michael Faz, like I want to talk about 5.
That's like let's get it then. Let's get it then. You started. Let's go.
No, I want to respect y'all time. No, I came late, man.
No, I got time. Who got time? Like everybody got time?
I got time.
Let's go.
Okay, cool.
So then let's go to 5. Damati, take it off. What's on your mind?
No, it was the first. This was on my mind because you gave the example of the laundromat too. Yeah. And this is like in the first page of chapter 5 when it says something about Blah, blah, blah.
Ag-
Oh, a white
agriculture.
professor of a university recently resigned his position to become rich by running a laundry
Mat, yeah.
for Negroes in the Southern city. A Negro college instructor would have considered such a suggestion an insult. And so I had put a note to myself when I first read it about this elite Black mentality, an example of social status being an impediment to wealth or Black business development, and how like Chinese, how Middle Easterners don't have this problem. And I was trying to think in my mind, I guess my question to y'all is like, how did we even develop that ideology where we look down on those type of gigs?
So I kind of thought about it a little bit, and I think a lot of that comes from kind of that slavery mentality, like that's slave labor. Like I ain't doing that for nobody. You know, I'm not doing like that's slave labor. We value education so much that's what we separated ourselves from, and we look at it different. We look at it differently. And I was even going to talk about how they even was going into, working internships. So I work for State Farm. I coach all the agents before they go into agency. But in order to get here, like I had to work as, for an intern or for an agency where I was only getting commission and my salary was only so much. And we not willing to do that type of stuff to be able to go over time. Like I could open a State Farm agency tomorrow if I wanted to. I can go back to my mom's agency. And like those are avenues of wealth that we don't need, but we don't want to take those building blocks to do.
I'll take a second to say this. Acts of service is something that's oblivious to Black people. The acts of service for us sometimes becomes entangled with owing people versus just doing for people. We lose that ability to differentiate sometimes what it means to just truly be an ally. That's that notion of if your homeboy posts something, it's absolutely free for you to hit the share button, but it's like he didn't tell me to do it, so I'm not obligated to do it. We miss that notion to take upon our blessings. I think we speak too freely about our tenacity to go get it, to have our own, to be able to say we did it on our own. Yeah. Instead of us being like, if me and Rob are both millionaires because we share in the same business, we both millionaires. It's not like I stole something from Rob or Rob stole something from me. We miss that ability to just have acts of service that are free for our people. If I had
and the pride, like we don't believe in nepotism because we like, I got it out the mud. I did this myself. Like JB brought us something good, like about he could easily work for his mom's thing, and he's already thinking about that. Like that's part of the. I remember when I moved back to. When I quit my job at Target and I moved back to my mom's house, I was working at Target headquarters, moved back to my mama crib. I felt so ashamed. I didn't even look at it like I was saving money and recalibrating my life. I felt ashamed. And then
we talked about that too, Demetti.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, I'm like that shit. And white folks do that all the time. Those people working at Target headquarters, making $60,000 a year, living with their mamas proudly.
No, but that's not saying we talked about that. I know I spoke to you about that, Demetti, is the fact that people need to go back to their mother's house until they get all their shit together. Right. But what I wanted to mention was earlier with where do we get looking down on those people is because they didn't have a shine to them. All we knew was those uniforms. We didn't know that they drove Mercedes to that damn post office. We didn't know that they were,
that's true.
All we knew was those uniforms, and I only knew because my father is a carpenter, and he was a boiler room engineer, so I knew the financial changes because I never was in need as a kid. Like, and my mother's also a carpenter, but I never was in need. All the siblings we had, we were never in fucking need, and we always got what we wanted. If you came into the projects and you came into our house, you'll see like the whole fucking table is like a big ass marble table that. The base of the table was big as fucking marble and held up a glass table. We had dim lights in the projects. Like our switches were different. The way our crib was hooked up, you'd have thought you left the project when you walk in our house. We had deep freezers. We got everything in that motherfucker, bro. We lived way different than everybody that was just next door to us. So that's the thing. Like the thing that you see as a kid, you saw the shine. You're like, God damn, this drug dealer got that. These rappers got that. These famous people got that. And these motherfucking janitors ain't got nothing. We don't see this garbage man with nothing, but not knowing that.
We take the uniform off.
Yeah.
Yep. No debt. No college debt.
The garbage men ain't living in projects. Most of the mailmen didn't live in the projects, and if they did, all of them lived good. So you weren't paying attention to that, but you only noticed that they were garbage men. Them garbage men was living in Bronzeville and on the east side of the South Shore area.
I'll say this. There was an ordinance that was made for civil servants to have to live within the communities that they serve, and a lot of people thought that this was going to be a pushback from police departments. But in reality, 75% of people that pushed back on this ordinance were mailmen, civil workers, or construction workers in the area. Not because they wanted, but because they knew they had acquired a certain level of wealth and health that didn't require them to live in these neighborhoods. But they had, so a lot of people confuse that with, the police are the ones that don't want to do this. But in reality, it was the mailman and all those other civil servants who were like,
it's definitely police too, though.
Oh no, for sure, police. But a lot of people like looked over the police. I mean, we're focused in on the police without realizing who else is considered a civil servant in this community.
But Jeremiah got that on lock as far as the police of Cal City. I'm saying as far as like I'm talking about the move out because your mother's running for mayor, right?
No, she was gonna run back when she was running. She was thinking about running for mayor, and that was one of the things she didn't want to deal with. The police wanted to move out. They definitely wanted to move out of Cal City.
So I'll say this then. While we're on this topic, let's talk about the struggle versus taking the easy way out. The insurance work, the person who was interning as an insurance person making $15 an hour versus I'm gonna just go work at the hotel front desk. How much of the struggle should you be required to endure before you say, all right, I'm done? What's your limit?
I'll go
first. Depends on how much you struggle growing up. Shit. Go ahead.
I think it depends on the situation. And I feel like oftentimes it's part of the process. And I feel like struggle takes you to a place where you never want to go back to. Mm-hmm. So when you get to that place and then you start to kind of step out of it, you have a point of reference that keeps propelling you. So like for me personally, when I was in school, I took an unpaid internship and turned down a job or another internship that was offering about $18 an hour, right? And coming from a blue collar family, my entire family said, that's the dumbest thing you can do, right? You stupid, you da-da-da-da-da. But once I started taking school serious, I started thinking long game. Like I don't have a survival mentality anymore. I'm thinking like, what is this going to set me up for a long term, right? And the long-term pros kind of outweigh the cons. I bet. Tell them tenfold. Tell them tenfold, Black. We got them.
Yeah, you can drop that tenfold.
But going through the process, they were like, dumb is dumb. But lo and behold, that unpaid internship turned into me landing a full-time job, and people was like, "Oh, I didn't know it could." It's like, yeah. I had to go through the process though. You got to get it through the mud sometimes. I won't recommend that for everybody because it's a risk.
It's definitely a risk.
And it's a privilege too. Black, you need to mute yourself, boy.
I muted myself because I thought he was talking. I didn't know Paul was about to say some more shit.
But I was gonna say too, G, like but then it'd be a privilege too because some of us be so broke that we can't even take an unpaid internship, and so then it'd be like we'll take an unpaid internship and then have to work multiple jobs, like just so we can work that job, which might affect the performance at the other job.
And that's what I had to do.
That's what I had to do.
I had to do.
That's so shitty as a black
That's what it is.
So then is
it a black student? You should like most people's kids don't have to do that. Like I've talked to a bunch of people that went to college and then only like majority of the black people I know have to do the job and school shit together instead of just only focusing on school. And that's a big problem in the black community too. When we go to school, we don't only focus on what the fuck we there for. Our focuses are be so spread the fuck out on everything that's going on, and then you can't even enjoy it like how you want to enjoy it, especially if you got a real plan. Like y'all have real plans, so some of y'all was able to do that freshman year fun shit, but after that it was like, fuck that, I can't do that no more.
I ain't gonna lie, I got lucky though. Shit, I didn't really have a plan. It just seemed like it. It was like whatever I was doing, I just did it 100%. But I didn't know what I was doing. When I was interning at that radio station, I didn't know I was gonna end up being on air. I was just I was just going, whatever I was doing, I was just gonna go hard and make it seem like, just, you know what I'm saying, do it with confidence. But like, and it made me think. I learned something at the radio station too about like Black people's mentality that got me thinking. Like on the other side of that, like we already know, like you got to struggle, you got to hustle. But then we look at it like if somebody didn't struggle, that somehow their success is invalidated.
That's facts.
And so we prioritize the struggle. So we will make our next generation start from scratch, just so we can
Instead of
say
leaving
he
them
got it
something.
out
That
the
shit
mud.
goofy as fuck.
Goofy as
That shit
fuck.
goofy.
Such a
You know what I'm saying? Like,
What I like about the struggle is it make you appreciate stuff. I don't give a fuck that you didn't have to work for, but if you do have to struggle for it, it makes you appreciate it a lot more. But
or take this, or you know what I'm saying, hot take, or don't appreciate it. Donald Trump don't appreciate shit. He said his dad gave him a $1 million loan,
a small, very tiny, very fractional part.
And this dumbass nigga became president. So it's like, I don't want to raise a spoiled brat, but I know I'm gonna be.
We couldn't do that though. We couldn't have the amount of failures Trump got and still be, still be supported. Because with all the failures he really have, as far as all the bankruptcies and the fact that his name is on a bunch of buildings he don't own, and it's just so they can make money. It's just a bunch of fraudulent shit. So we can't do that.
Yeah, we can't do what they do.
Put in those positions where our parents give us $1 million to fuck over, and we turn down people because we don't like their race. Because as soon as a Black person do some shit like that, we getting unsupported by everybody, even our own. You see how
I feel like what we do is though, we wouldn't even give our kid the loan because we'll be like, our coach will be like, I had to work from the mud. You're gonna work like this. You're gonna be a cashier at my $1 million company so you can learn how this works. And I'm not giving you nothing. And then like by the time he's 30, he doesn't know who he is. He hasn't learned the business. He hasn't figured it out because
they talked about that in the book. They talked about that in the book, how once the old man dies, his kids don't know what the fuck to do because he didn't show them that. Mm-hmm. And that's the issue too. But
when it should be, when you're a person of wealth in the Black community, I take the Jay-Z approach in this. You teach your kids how to be businessmen and women from day one. Blue Ivy, I am convinced, has more education and savvy in the business world as an 8-year-old than anybody with a college degree right now. Guaranteed. I can say it.
But like not just Blue Ivy. What's the name, son? DJ Khaled's son?
DJ Khaled's son
is the whole album.
He got a whole brand already.
He got a brand, bro. He produces it, but the thing is, bro, and they show like how he never cries, bro. That's just privilege right there, bro.
Yeah, a baby that don't cry.
A baby that doesn't cry.
Like my baby barely cried when she was a kid, but she cried shit every like fucking. It was rare shit because I was there for the first year of her life. I wasn't working. So I was able to just be there.
So then let's talk about something that came up in chapter 1 that I said will come back up in chapter 5, which is enjoying the spoils of the image versus actually attaining it. Because we get to live in these lives where we have, this is considered to be hood rich. You got your car, you got your house, and you got a little bit of coin. You're working under people, but you're not really working. You're surviving. You're just surviving with a few other assets. Is there a thing? Is there such thing as being humble? All I heard was Kendrick Lamar's song "Bitch Be Humble" the whole time when I was reading this last part. Do we need to start being a little bit more humble about our approach and how we show? Black people are known for having a cultural flair. Do we feed too much into that?
Yep.
Black?
I'm just saying, yeah. Like I'm gonna let y'all talk, and I'm gonna say,
JB?
I can expand.
I don't think so. I think that that's part of kind of who we are. Like when you talk about like some of the gifts and talents that we got, I think a lot of that stuff plays into it. Now, how we manage it, how we teach it, how we move with it, that needs to be done differently. Me personally, like I'll say like I got a lot of the stuff that I want, but it don't mean shit to me, honestly. I remember walking across the stage and had my whole family excited, and I was like, this don't mean shit.
Not a goddamn thing.
And it's just about kind of what you value, like
I stopped telling my people when I graduate, I just show up with new degrees.
Come out with a beat my ass.
I literally did that with my last associate. I was like, yeah, here go the paper. Can you hang that up in the bedroom downstairs? She's
Right,
like,
right.
when you get this? It's like a week ago. I'm good.
I think it's two things, man. I feel like the concept of us being humble is to like, it's almost to minimize who we are. It's like the intro.
It's to the detriment. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, it was. You know that intro of fuck with me, you know I got it. Well, Pimp C was like, all is gold. We go because we African kings. Like, this is what we do. You know, so it's like it's part of our culture to flex a little bit. But I will say though, I think we need to raise the bar higher. I think sometimes we get so proud of ourselves for just adulting, because so many of us die before 25 or don't have jobs. We be like, man, I got my own apartment, my own car, my own. You're supposed to. I take care of my son every day. Like, you're a dad.
I'm lit.
Like, you know, like this. For fatherhood, like, you know,
I'm lit. I'm an adult. I'm lit.
But that's the type of stuff I don't like. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like because you have to do it, it's not a reason enough to not be happy that you're doing it, or somebody to show that they appreciate that you're doing it.
You know,
that builds that helps you, and then the fact
because
that,
you know what it curtails into a bunch of low life sucker ass motherfuckers who are complaining about money that they don't even have. Oh my God, can you believe this chick is requiring $10,000 for child support? Hey bitch, that's his child. You mean to tell me if you had 10,000 you had to give to your kid, you gonna complain? Is that what you own? Is that your livelihood? Is that
people mad about taxing and tax brackets that they're not a part of?
Yeah, like that shit killing me, bro. Right now, I'm about to fucking be in the next tax bracket next week, and I hate that shit. That shit is annoying. The amount of money they take a week. But what I'm saying about the humble shit is, we as black people are attracted to the fact that people show off what they have. Like, most of the people that we support, and most of the things that we support, is because of the advertisement and how well it's known. So as soon as a motherfucker, and we hate on the same shit when it's our own people though. Like our own people advertising their own shit, be up there and all the strap. And then we like, motherfuckers doing too much. I know I probably just cut out to my daughter, and they were probably just doing too much. But I feel like it's okay to be humble, but it's also okay to not be. Like, fucking, right. if you wanna be live, flaunt your shit, because I'ma support it, and I'ma flaunt your shit just like y'all flaunt it. If you ain't that happy about it, why the fuck am I gonna be that happy about it?
I ain't gonna lie, not to bring it too close to something personal, but I struggle with that too. Like, I be looking at, like, a lot with social media branding, right? Like, as a media personality and whatnot, it'd be a lot of fly ass shit that be going on that I choose not to post. And when I talk to people, talk about like how to make my online presence more stronger, I guess. They're like, I remember
we talked about this. Yeah,
we talked about that.
I told you have. I'm going to steal this from him because he still won't do himself justice in this situation.
But I do your
best.
When I post about the Medi, when I post the Medi, bro, I post everything, every fucking thing.
To this day, the highest ranked podcast on my godforsaken show is this man when he showed up. For real. So it's mind-boggling to me when I see him taking this humble approach when he doesn't have to.
It's because of the people you grew up around and the people that follow you. You ain't trying to
it feel like you're showing out on them, but it's not. You're showing them a better way.
But people who understand the game, don't need this game explained. People who understand the game don't need it explained.
Y'all right too, and it's funny too. I bring it up because what Black said that triggered it too was like I'll be looking at people who I know what they make because I used to do what they do. You know what I mean? And they be like real braggadocious, and I'm like, yo, I know what radio pay. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, relax. I did that job. Relax.
Oh, word! They finally let you have the third mic. Oh, that's congratulations. Big up.
But the reason I don't though is because it's like reach higher though. Because like we're supposed to be doing what we're doing. Like we're supposed to all have jobs and be able to jump on and talk. We're supposed to be reading books. Like I took a screenshot of us recording. I just said, yo, me and my guys talk about Miseducation of Negro. We do this all the time. We just don't broadcast it all the time because we do it in our safe spaces. But it's like, I feel like we're in this space where we pat ourselves on the back for normal shit. Like we're supposed to have nice jobs. Like I'm supposed to be traveling for work. It's not really, it's fly shit, but it's not really, you know what I'm saying? Like catch me when I'm on the cover of Time magazine, then I'm a flex. You know what I mean? But like,
hey, no, look, what we also need though for the avid members, bro. If I'm trying to cash out, I want to get some of them watches. So y'all know the Medi sponsored by this watch company, and they make some dope ass watches.
Oh, true. Yeah. Vitae London. Yeah.
So put that watch on if you at the crib and you near one of them motherfuckers. Put that motherfucker on, and then send that shit to Bo so he can post that shit in the chat.
No, and like I said, like I usually at the end of each show, ask everybody what you want to sponsor. If there's something you want to talk about, so it can go into the description. It'll be a little like it'll be next to your face throughout the whole video if it's something that you're interested in. Because once again, I asked you guys a favor and y'all granted me that access. So if there's something I can do to help you guys, I'll do that. But I mean, that concludes chapter 5 for us, unless there's something else anybody want to speak on.
Like great, just fucking continue to be great.
I wanted to say one thing about kind of Dometi and saying you wait till I get to time, because I say the same thing all the time. Like, all right, this ain't no big deal. Wait till I get here. But some people do actually need to see the journey. They fall into that trap, and this is something I've been thinking about personally. Like, you fall into that trap of like, oh, he just showed up one day and he was doing this, and he already got like, nah, bro.
They didn't see the mixtape that nobody heard.
Exactly.
Because when you was rapping, all they got was that album and the feature that you did on Kendrick Lamar shit before you got on. But they didn't know that you had 42 motherfucking bullshit mixtapes that you struggled through that you ain't had no video shoot for. And then when you did, it was on an iPhone. And then it just a bunch of shit. They gotta know that it wasn't all just fucking diamonds and gold and glitter.
No, you're right. That's a good ass point.
So real quick, then let's hit down the list. Rob, you want to send your shout out?
Shout out to this week's brand that I'm broadcasting and showing off. No pressure, Chicago entrepreneur. Every week, I'm gonna try to rotate a new entrepreneur brand. I think next week I'm gonna do COVID masks, sponsored by a young entrepreneur in Chicago, getting shipped out here to California. Hopefully that comes by next Sunday.
Excellent. You'll send me that link. JB, you got any topics you want to speak on?
No, man. Just as a point to this book, man, I just I inspire everybody to do some reflection, kind of on just what's your personal interest, what's your gifts. Have you sacrificed? Have you truly sacrificed enough to get to where you're trying to go?
That's such a fucking tough question.
That's a bar. That's what I'm gonna think about for the whole week until next week when I'm reading chapter 6 and shit.
But the Medi ain't gonna put it in the song, but drop it though.
Black, you want to speak on anything? Drop anything?
Nah, I'm in a place where they got more money than we need to talk about, so I'm gonna wait until I fucking rocking somebody's shit next week when I'm not at work. This place got too much money. Fuck that.
What about you? Dometi, anything you want to talk about? I know you always filming something with TV show, something with the website.
I'm gonna follow Rob's lead and plug somebody else. There's this company called Luella Cole who just sent me a raw ass t-shirt, LuellaCole.com. And yeah, man, they black owned company. Just started by my mans. They jumped in my DM randomly and sent me like a raw ass shirt with a Foxy Brown and Lil Kim back to back. Just a fly t-shirt company, black owned company. Support them, grab some tees from them. You know what I'm saying? Show them some love. That shit dope.
And he'll be sending
Send him the link for those watches too.
Yeah,
I just put it in the chat. Matter of fact, I was gonna say y'all can plug it if y'all want to, but this for y'all. We'll plug it next week. But for the guys on the call, y'all use this 10% off code for these watches. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, appreciate.
Don't post that. Hey, show. You got a watch that you can show us?
Oh, I ain't even bring it with me. I'm out of time in New Mexico right now. I ain't even bring it with me.
So like, all right. So I'm gonna get the link because they email me all the time because I ain't got my watch yet. So they make sure they keep emailing me. So when I'm gonna watch. They make some dope ass watches, and they're gonna be super unique because nobody else got them. Nobody else got these watches, bro.
They cold.
And they're not expensive at all.
And it's a black owned company. They're not that expensive. It's a dope ass. Man, I guess we should say it.
Say it,
talk
bro.
about it.
It's go ahead.
Vitae London is the name of the company. It's VITAE London.com.
All right,
if you put my code in there, Dometi10 or Dometi10, if you knew me pre-2010, you know what I'm saying? But Dometi10, DOMETI10 is the coupon code for 10% off.
all that will be flashing up on the screen right now, and they'll also be in the comment section and the links just below. If you're watching this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, it'll also be showing up on my retro links. You'll see that in the top right corner. So for me, you guys already know, it's been a hectic week as far as keeping up with the election. Shout out to the Identity Booth for breaking 400 comment record and also breaking the 1,000 threshold. We had our first 52-hour live stream doing this whole election. We had people come in, we had people leave out, and it was really impactful. This has been a heavy year. I had jollof rice and fried rice every fucking morning. Just my comfort food.
Oh, man.
Comfort food, bro, because I was sad. It was some tough times going on, but you know, as we always try to do this, the Mail Book Club, the Books and Beyond, we try and give you guys this peer into this space that Black men share. And as the crew has said, you know, we should be doing this. You should be great. You shouldn't be hesitant to be your best version of yourself. And that's what we try and do here. We have the luxury of being able to read books that educate us. What you guys have done? What have y'all done for yourselves lately? Huh? Go do something nice for yourself in this pandemic. And after this election, go enjoy your best Saturday or Sunday. What day is it? I got surgery tomorrow, Sunday. It's Monday. All right, cool. But if anybody got anything else, man, we'll sign off or have a little post game. What we reading next week is
6 to
10,
6
to 9,
6 to 10.
Yeah, 6 to 10. Yeah, I'm on my Jeremiah shit.
All right then, fellas. Unless there's anything else, man.
Oh no, it is just the 4. It is just the 4, 6 to 9.
You don't want to do the 4th? You don't want to do the 4 for the last one?
It's only 18. It's only 18 chapters. So that is 6, 7, 8, 9. That is 4.
All right, 6.
So I wasn't wrong. I'm good at math. I don't know why I second guess myself.
Hey, no one challenged you. No one challenged you. I thought by now you would have read the whole goddamn book since you was being all proactive.
Hey, while you bullshitting, I'm damn near done. So, but I didn't want to. That's why I was waiting for everything. I was waiting for y'all to speak on it.
The book is actually on Spotify, so you guys can listen to the book on Spotify as well. I put the link in there too, because that's where I found. You know, I'm always trying to bootleg something. That's just me though.
Y'all see,
you gotta post that though. But you gotta post that though. Like when you find it cheap, because remember I said I wanted to do that for everybody who, because there's people that don't want to buy the book or maybe can't afford it. Like
okay,
you know,
I'll post that in the chat too, and I'll post it up here. But I found it this morning because that's how I read the book while I was doing my workout. I listened to the book while I was on my workout. But that's pretty much it for me, y'all, man. I appreciate y'all.
Like Rob did, I fucking went over the same part a bunch of times because
that first quote was fire. That first quote was fire.
We damn near should end it with that.
Rob, do you got it one more time?
Oh, I keep it. I'll end with the same quote I opened up with. To handicap a student by teaching him that his blackface is a curse and that his struggle to change his condition is hopeless is the worst sort of lynching. It kills one's aspirations and dooms him to bondage and crime.